Oh, my beloveds, I'm so grateful, so grateful to be with you today. It's always a gift and, oh my gosh, tremendous blessing. And so many of you know my journey. I call it the adventure. I am healing from the appearance of a cancer diagnosis. And on Friday, I went for a PET scan, and I'm waiting on the Lord, I'm waiting on Spirit, the results Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But I'm in celebration. I'm truly in celebration because I didn't think I'd be here to see the fall. And so here I am standing up, celebrating. I love to dress up and be glamorous for God. I recently heard a minister say, I'm glamorous for God. So that's what I'll be using from now on. I am glamorous for Spirit in celebration of life, in celebration of life. So, my beloveds, this is the season of the harvest. What are we reaping? And we had a major cultural, global, political, diplomatic event happen on November 6th, 5th, 6th, about a week ago. So, although I will be speaking about prosperity, I have a wonderful prosperity affirmation that Raleigh has put in our program online and printed in our program here. I had to take a little curve, because the download I received as I was facilitating post-election healing circles online. It was very last minute. I sent out the notification. Please forgive me if many of you didn't get it, but many of us, ministers and teachers of all faith, were gathering last week to just be in support of a group of humanity and our beloved citizens of this country who were feeling emotions moving through their soma, moving through their nervous system, that needed to be discharged and prayed upon. So, my beloveds, what I was downloading, Spirit was showing me the scripture or the message that we walk by faith and not by sight. And that has been my journey, my adventure. If I based my prognosis on how people were looking at me with that sad, like, this lady won't be here for a long time, but she's very entertaining. I could tell by the nurses and doctors' faces that they saw one outcome for me, and I was knowing that my faith was going to see me through. My beloveds, I was told not to give sermons, that it would be too hard on my physical temple, my body temple, and just too much to memorize and write. And I said, are these people crazy? And I haven't stopped by infinite's grace. I think I may have missed one, but I'm not sure, Raleigh. I'm not even think so. I think
not here.
Not here. That's right. So I declare yes. So, and I was told not to do it. So it was walking by faith. So, my beloveds, as we gather together in the spirit of faith, a faith that transcends appearances and connects us to the infinite power of spirit. These words, spoken thousands of years ago, will speak to us today. Faith is the substance, the invisible creative power shaping our reality. Faith is evidence, the inner assurance of divine order, working even when outer circumstances feel uncertain. So in these post-election days, amidst change, uncertainty, for some people, deep grief, anger, and challenges, we are called to walk not by what we see, but what we know of spirit, in spirit. We must recommit to our spiritual practices and to knowing God is in charge of our lives and in charge of the world and in charge of this country. This is the journey of walking by faith, a sacred journey undertaken by spiritual pioneers across the ages. This is the journey undertaken by spiritual pioneers across the ages. We must be and follow the example of our spiritual pioneers. So I remember a few years ago when I was going through a very difficult time. There was a master teacher, Dr. Reverend Marjorie Jones, who is the associate pastor at Charles Street AME Church, who is one of my clients. Reverend Jones has been a minister for 40 years, and I was weeping over some heartache. I had to face death to know that that's not a big deal anymore, but I was weeping about that. And she opened up her Bible and she read Hebrews chapter 11. So my beloveds, I always like to reiterate that we are a metaphysical, new thought, spiritual community that understands that the Bible is a reflection of the journey of the soul, our collective journey and our individual journey. And we are aspects of every single story, every single character in the Bible. We start as Adam and Eve, the masculine and feminine of the divine soul, awakening into God consciousness through Jesus, the Christ, the Christed one. For there is a Christ within that is waiting, beckoning for us to understand that we too can awaken. We too can be in the tomb of death, resurrect, and ascend. This is our story. This is our journey. So hold this in your mind as I read Hebrews chapter 11. Faith in action. Now faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. This is what the ancients were commanded to do. By faith, we understand that the universe was formed at God's command, so that what is seen was not made out of what was visible. By faith, Abel brought God a better offering than Cain did. By faith, he was commended as righteous when God spoke well of his offerings. And by faith, Abel still speaks, even though he is dead. By faith, Enoch was taken from this life so that he did not have to experience death. He could not be found because God had taken him away. For before he was taken, he was commanded as one who pleased God. And without faith, it is impossible to please God, because anyone who comes to him must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who earnestly seek him. By faith, Noah, who was warned about things yet not seen, in holy fear, built an ark to save his family. By his faith, he condemned the world and became heir of the righteous. That is keeping with faith. By faith, Abraham, who was called to go to a place he would later receive as his inheritance, obeyed and went, even though he did not know where he was going. By faith, he made his home in the promised land, like a stranger in a foreign country. He lived in tents, as did Isaac and Jacob, who were his heirs of the same promise. By faith, this one man did good deeds and was willing to sacrifice his son, but God redeemed him and blessed him. All these people were living by faith when they died. They did not receive the things promised. They only saw them and welcomed them from a distance, admitting that they were foreigners and strangers on earth. People who say such things show that they are looking for a country of their own. If they have been thinking of that country they left, they would have returned. Instead, they are longing for a better country, a heavenly one. Therefore, God called them and prepared them. By faith, even though Abraham was tested, he offered Isaac. He embraced the promises about the sacrifices of his only son. By faith, Jacob, when he was dying, blessed each of Joseph's sons and worshiped as he leaned on his staff. By faith, Joseph, when his end was near, spoke the exodus of the Israelites from Egypt and gave instructions concerning the burial of his bones. By faith, Moses refused to be known as Pharaoh's son. He chose to be mistreated along with the people of God rather than enjoy the fleeting pleasures of this world. By faith, the people passed through the Red Sea on dry land, even though the Egyptians tried to, and they were not drowned. These were all commended for their faith, yet none of them received what had been promised, since God had planned something better for us and for them. If we live by faith, we shall receive God's promises. So, my beloveds, we see in the chapter 11 of Hebrews that all of these spiritual ancient wisdom teachers and followers of the one presence and the one power walked by faith, and not by sight. So what is the message? What is the message of Hebrews? It's about the creative power of faith. So the writer of Hebrews chapter 11 paints a very vivid picture of faith as a creative force behind the lives of spiritual pioneers like Noah, like Abraham, like Jacob, like Joseph, and Sarah. These figures walked by faith, trusting the unseen guidance of spirit. Noah represents our ability to listen to inner wisdom, even when it contradicts logic or outer appearances. Abraham symbolizes the courage to step into the unknown, trusting that spirit is always guiding us. Sarah, who trusted Abraham to take her son far, far away, represents the faith that transcends limitations, opening the door to miraculous possibilities because she gave birth to a son, at first laughing at God, but then trusting by faith. So faith across spiritual traditions. But first, we must reflect on this when we are called to trust God, even without knowing how things will unfold. My beloveds, we must let faith be our guide. So we practice gratitude for the unseen blessings already on their way, and we affirm, for example, I trust in the substance of my good, even before it appears. So faith, I love the fact that we are universal, new thought, spiritual community and tradition based in Christianity, but the Fillmores knew and understood and embodied that there were grains, wonderful seeds, golden nuggets of truth in all of the world religions. My favorite guru, Yogananda, often would say that religions are the pearls around the neck of God, as I wear my pearls today. So all of the faith traditions are the pearls around the neck of our beloved eternal spirit. So in Christianity, we know that faith opens the kingdom of heaven within. a state of divine peace and abundance. In the Kabbalah, faith connects us with the endless light of the Creator, beyond the limitations of this physical world. In Hinduism, faith aligns us with our Dharma, the divine flow of cosmic order and our divine purpose. In Islam, faith, or Inam, calls us to trust in Allah, God's perfect plan, surrendering to divine wisdom. In the Tao, in Taoism, faith trusts the effortless flow of the Tao, the natural way, or the chi of life. We are in the flow of divine energy, in the God consciousness energy that Reiki is called, the chi. In Buddhism, faith sees beyond suffering, recognizing the inherent peace and enlightenment within all beings. So, what are the mindfulness practices for walking by faith? Daily centering practices. Let's begin every day, especially right now, my beloveds, especially for the next coming years. Let's begin to practice a moment of stillness, meditation, closing our eyes, breathing deeply, and knowing I walk by faith, knowing Spirit guides my every step. Let's practice gratitude and joy practices. I was suddenly reminded, Spirit gave me the word, joy practices. I'll be talking about that more often. Joy and gratitude are acts of faith. By celebrating the good you desire, you magnetize it into your life. You would be affirming, I rejoice in the unseen blessings unfolding in my life. What are joy practices? Art, creativity, cooking a beautiful meal, going on a walk, singing and dancing, watching comedies. Let's not stop laughing because we think it's the end of the world. Well, okay, if it's going down in the basket, like we say, I won't say the word. Well, let's go down in the basket, laughing, communing, being positive together. Whatever stirs your heart and makes that little child giggle, do it. Do it. This is what our spiritual pioneers did. This is what my people, my parents came here because there was a man, a doctor who seemed brilliant, who became the elected president and then a dictator for 40 years, and his son for 20 years after. This I speak about Haiti, and that has created instability for decades. Do you think Haitian people don't go out to clubs? I have a friend who was just there. I said, you went to Haiti with all of the gangs and all of the murders? She said, oh, that's in Port-au-Prince. That's in the South. I was in the North at the beaches, at the resort. We went to all these nightclubs and I had a spa day. And I thought, thank you. She said, you listen to the news and believe all that stuff? And I thought, wow. I've been afraid to go. My mom's like, please don't go. It's terrible. She's like, you have to know where to go. And you have to meet up with friends and family. But she was celebrating life in the midst of the gangs in Haiti, in the midst of years and decades of instability. So I'm here to tell you that we must anchor this idea that we walk by faith and not by sight. And my beloveds, the download that I received, that's been being confirmed by different people, Spirit told me that, well, for what it's worth, could be crazy thoughts, but that Trump won the election because if he had not won, there would be blood running through the streets of America. There would be a civil war and a race war. There would have been non-stop violence. And this country would have never been the same. So I believe that there is a higher power in charge. And I don't think that Trump is evil. I have to be very honest, I don't. But I think that sometimes the people who might surround you, in politics on either side, can be of dubious nature. But we know that he is a child of God. It's so important. But anyway, those things are less important. We walk by faith and not by sight. So a call to faith in uncertain times. Beloveds, we live in a world of change. Change is the only constant, where uncertainty can feel overwhelming. But as we walk by faith, we align ourselves with the eternal presence of Spirit. Faith is the bridge between the visible and the invisible, the known and the unknown. So let us be like the ancients who walked by faith, trusting Spirit to be the light on our path, surrendering our fears and embracing peace, living as ambassadors of love, joy, and abundance in a world that needs our light. My beloveds, I would not be standing in front of you on November 17th, 2024, if I hadn't decided to walk by faith and not by sight. I was given a diagnosis that could have kept me in bed for the last February, 9 months, and I chose to get up and live and to work and embody these principles that I know and understand the laws of life, and that these are called truth. It's just the beginning, but I must live the truth I know. We are being called to live these spiritual principles that we know. As Shakespeare says, nothing is good or bad. Let's know the good. Let's affirm the good. Until something else happens, let's practice our joy practices, and let's walk by faith and not by sight. So, closing little blessing, my beloveds. As we leave this sacred time, may we carry the light of faith within us. May we trust in the unseen and celebrate the infinite potential of Spirit, and walk boldly with assurance into the unfolding future, knowing that we walk by faith and not by sight. And so it is, beloveds. I walk. Let's know this together, beloveds. I know that to prosper means to grow spiritually along all lines. God is prospering me now in mind, body, and affairs. God's ideas constantly unfold within me, bringing to me health, wealth, and perfect divine expression. I am inwardly thrilled as I feel the life of God vitalizing every atom of my being. I know that God's life is animating, sustaining, and strengthening me now. I am now expressing a perfect, radiant body, full of vitality, energy, and power. My business or profession is a divine activity, and since it is God's business, it is successful and prosperous. I imagine and feel an inner wholeness functioning through my body, mind, and affairs. I give thanks and rejoice in the abundant life. I give thanks and rejoice in the abundant life. And so it is, my beloved. Thank you, thank you, thank you.